If you or someone you love has been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, you've probably asked yourself this terrifying question: how fast will this progress? The answer might surprise you. While some people maintain their independence for decades, others face rapid changes within just a few years. But here's what doctors don't always tell you up front: you have more control over this progression than you might think. Today, we're going to uncover the hidden factors that determine whether Parkinson's moves like a slow-moving river or a rushing waterfall through your life. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what influences your personal timeline and, more importantly, what you can do about it right now. Parkinson's disease doesn't follow a one-size-fits-all timeline. Think of it like fingerprints. Every person's progression is uniquely their own. Research shows us that some individuals experience what we call slow progression, where symptoms develop gradually over 15 to 20 years. Others face rapid progression, with significant changes occurring within 3 to 5 years. The key difference lies in understanding that Parkinson's isn't just one disease. It's actually a spectrum of related conditions that affect people differently. Your brain chemistry, genetics, lifestyle, and even your response to treatment all play crucial roles in determining which path your journey will take. Here's something that might give you hope. Studies consistently show that people who take an active role in managing their condition tend to experience slower progression rates. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's backed by solid medical research that we'll explore throughout this discussion. Your age when first diagnosed serves as one of the strongest predictors of how quickly Parkinson's will progress. If you're diagnosed before age 50, which doctors call early onset Parkinson's, you're likely looking at a much slower progression. Many people with early onset Parkinson's maintain good quality of life and independence for 20 to 30 years or even longer. On the other hand, if you receive your diagnosis after age 65, the progression tends to move more quickly. This doesn't mean you're facing immediate decline, but rather that changes may become noticeable over 5 to 10 years instead of decades. The reason has to do with your brain's natural aging process combined with the disease itself. Think of it this way: a younger brain has more reserve capacity and plasticity. It can better compensate for the dopamine-producing cells that Parkinson's affects. An older brain, while still remarkably adaptable, simply has less reserve to draw upon. While most Parkinson's cases aren't directly inherited, genetics still play a significant role in progression speed. Certain genetic variants can either speed up or slow down how the disease develops. For example, people with mutations in the LRRK2 gene often experience slower progression and better responses to medication. Conversely, those with certain variations in the COMT gene may face faster progression because their brains break down dopamine more quickly. The good news is that genetic testing can help predict your likely progression pattern, allowing you and your medical team to plan more effectively. But here's the crucial point: genetics isn't destiny. Even if you carry genes associated with faster progression, lifestyle factors can significantly influence how those genes express themselves. This field, called epigenetics, shows us that you have more control than our grandparents ever imagined. Not all Parkinson's symptoms are created equal, and your dominant symptom type strongly predicts your progression speed. Medical researchers have identified several main subtypes, each with its own typical timeline. If tremor is your primary symptom, what doctors call tremor-dominant Parkinson's, you're looking at the most favorable prognosis. People with this subtype often experience the slowest progression, maintaining independence and cognitive function for many years. The tremor, while visible and sometimes embarrassing, doesn't significantly impact your ability to walk, think, or care for yourself. However, if your main symptoms involve stiffness, slow movement, or balance problems, called postural instability and gait difficulty, or PIGD, the progression tends to move faster. This subtype more quickly affects your mobility and independence, and unfortunately, it also carries a higher risk of cognitive changes. Mixed subtypes fall somewhere in between, but knowing your dominant pattern helps your medical team choose the most effective treatments and helps you plan for the future with greater accuracy. If there's one thing you do after watching this video, make it this: start exercising regularly. The research on exercise and Parkinson's progression is nothing short of remarkable. High-intensity exercise, we're talking about activities that make you breathe hard and sweat, can actually slow the progression of motor symptoms. Studies show that people who exercise vigorously for at least 2.5 hours per week experience significantly slower decline in their movement abilities. But exercise doesn't just help your muscles and coordination. It actually promotes the growth of new brain cells and helps existing neurons function better. The best exercises for Parkinson's include boxing, dancing, cycling, swimming, and resistance training. These activities challenge your balance, coordination, and strength simultaneously. Rock-steady boxing, specifically designed for people with Parkinson's, has shown particularly impressive results in clinical studies. Here's the key: intensity matters more than duration. 30 minutes of vigorous exercise 3 times per week beats gentle walking for an hour every day when it comes to slowing Parkinson's progression. Your target should be reaching 80 to 85% of your maximum heart rate during these sessions. What you eat directly impacts how quickly Parkinson's progresses. The Mediterranean diet, rich in olive oil, fish, vegetables, and whole grains, has shown consistent benefits in slowing cognitive and motor decline. This isn't about following a fad diet, it's about giving your brain the nutrients it needs to fight back against the disease. Antioxidants deserve special attention. Blueberries, dark leafy greens, green tea, and colorful vegetables help protect your remaining dopamine-producing cells from further damage. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish like salmon and sardines support brain health and may slow progression. On the flip side, certain foods can accelerate progression. High amounts of saturated fat, processed meats, and refined sugars create inflammation that damages brain cells. Excessive iron intake can also be problematic for people with Parkinson's, as it can accumulate in the brain and cause oxidative stress. Protein timing matters too. Since protein can interfere with levodopa absorption, many people find better symptom control by adjusting when and how much protein they eat throughout the day. Poor sleep doesn't just make you feel tired, it can actually accelerate Parkinson's progression. During deep sleep, your brain clears out toxic proteins that contribute to neurodegeneration. When you don't get quality sleep, these proteins accumulate faster, potentially speeding up the disease process. Many people with Parkinson's struggle with sleep disorders, including REM sleep behavior disorder, restless leg syndrome, and frequent nighttime awakenings. Addressing these issues isn't just about feeling more rested, it's about slowing disease progression. Good sleep hygiene becomes crucial. Maintaining consistent bedtime routines, creating a dark and cool sleeping environment, avoiding screens before bed, and managing any sleep disorders with appropriate treatment. Some people benefit from sleep studies to identify and address specific problems. How well you respond to Parkinson's medications, particularly levodopa, provides important clues about your likely progression pattern. People who experience dramatic improvement with their first levodopa prescription typically have slower progressing disease. This strong initial response often predicts years of good symptom control. However, if your response to medications is minimal, or if you develop significant side effects early on, this may indicate a more aggressive form of the disease. This doesn't mean you're out of options, but it does suggest the need for more comprehensive treatment approaches. The timing of motor complications also matters. If you develop dyskinesias, involuntary movements caused by medication, within the first few years of treatment, this typically indicates faster progression. Most people don't experience these complications until they've been on medication for 5 to 10 years. While Parkinson's primarily affects movement, cognitive changes can occur and significantly impact progression speed. People who develop thinking problems or memory issues within the first few years after diagnosis tend to experience faster overall progression. Early cognitive symptoms might include difficulty with complex thinking tasks, problems with attention or concentration, or changes in executive function, your ability to plan and organize. These changes often appear before obvious dementia develops. The good news is that cognitive symptoms aren't inevitable. Many people with Parkinson's maintain sharp thinking throughout their lives, especially when they stay mentally active and manage their other symptoms effectively. Having other health problems alongside Parkinson's can accelerate progression in several ways. Diabetes, heart disease, and other conditions that affect blood flow to the brain may worsen Parkinson's symptoms and speed up decline. Depression and anxiety, which affect up to 60% of people with Parkinson's, don't just impact quality of life, they can actually influence disease progression. Chronic stress and depression create inflammation in the brain that may damage the same areas affected by Parkinson's. This is why comprehensive care that addresses all your health conditions, not just Parkinson's, becomes so important for maintaining the slowest possible progression. Chronic stress acts like gasoline on the Parkinson's fire. When you're constantly stressed, your body produces hormones like cortisol that can damage brain cells and accelerate neurodegeneration. This creates a vicious cycle. Parkinson's symptoms cause stress, which worsens the symptoms, which increases stress further. Learning effective stress management techniques isn't just about feeling better emotionally. It's about protecting your brain from further damage. Meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, and other mind-body practices have shown measurable benefits in slowing Parkinson's progression. Social support plays a huge role here. People with strong family and community connections tend to experience slower progression, partly because social engagement provides natural stress relief and cognitive stimulation. Certain environmental exposures may accelerate Parkinson's progression, particularly pesticides, herbicides, and heavy metals. While you can't change past exposures, reducing current exposure may help slow progression. This might mean choosing organic produce when possible, using natural cleaning products, and being cautious around industrial chemicals. Rural areas with heavy agricultural pesticide use show higher rates of both Parkinson's development and faster progression. Even common exposures like air pollution in urban areas may influence progression speed. While you can't avoid all environmental toxins, being aware and making reasonable changes when possible may provide benefits. Starting comprehensive treatment early, not just medication, but exercise, nutrition, and lifestyle changes can significantly influence your long-term trajectory. Think of early intervention like compound interest. Small improvements early have much larger effects over time. Many people wait until their symptoms become bothersome before making lifestyle changes, but research consistently shows that people who start exercising, eating well, and managing stress immediately after diagnosis experience slower progression than those who wait. This doesn't mean you need to panic or completely overhaul your life overnight. Instead, it means taking the diagnosis seriously and beginning to make positive changes as soon as you're ready. Nobody should face Parkinson's alone, and having the right medical team can dramatically impact your progression. This typically includes a neurologist specializing in movement disorders, but might also include physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, and mental health professionals. Regular monitoring and adjustment of your treatment plan helps ensure you're always receiving optimal care. What works well in year 1 might need modification by year 3, and staying ahead of these changes helps maintain the best possible function. Understanding these factors helps you create a personalized approach to slowing progression. If you're younger at diagnosis and have tremor-dominant symptoms, you might focus heavily on exercise and stress management to maintain your advantage. If you're older with PIGD symptoms, you might need more aggressive medical management combined with intensive physical therapy. The key is working with your medical team to identify which factors apply to your specific situation and developing strategies to address them. This isn't about following a cookie-cutter approach, it's about creating a plan as unique as you are. While these factors influence progression, remember that Parkinson's remains unpredictable to some degree. Some people experience faster progression despite doing everything right, while others maintain function longer than expected, even with multiple risk factors. The goal isn't to guarantee a specific outcome. That's impossible. Instead, it's about stacking the odds in your favor and maintaining the best possible quality of life regardless of how quickly or slowly your symptoms change. Research continues advancing rapidly, with new treatments and even potential cures in development. By slowing progression now, you're buying time for these advances to potentially help you in the future. Parkinson's progression isn't entirely within your control, but it's not entirely outside your control either. The factors we've discussed, exercise, nutrition, stress management, medication compliance, and comprehensive medical care, represent real opportunities to influence your timeline. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Whether that means joining an exercise program, improving your diet, finding better stress management techniques, or simply staying more engaged with your medical care, every positive step matters. Your progression rate isn't set in stone the day you're diagnosed. With the right knowledge, support, and actions, you can work toward the slowest possible progression and the highest possible quality of life. That's not just hope, that's empowerment based on solid medical evidence. Remember, living well with Parkinson's isn't about the speed of progression, it's about making the most of every day you have. By understanding these factors and taking appropriate action, you're not just potentially slowing the disease, you're taking control of your journey and creating the best possible future for yourself.